So the process is not magical. It's relatively simple. And as I said, you have to just master being in the process, measure it, and repeat it. Hi, why did Uber decide not to manage its own fleet of cars? Wouldn't that give it more control over its business and the end user experience? Now, what about Airbnb? Why they didn't do the same and buy their own resorts and hotels and manage them themselves? Now, let's switch gears to SpaceX. What's all that noise around them? They didn't even match what NASA did in the last 50 years. You see, the difference between those companies and many of their rivals or the alternatives is the nature of the solution of the problem that they are solving. In this video, I'm going to tackle two questions. What defines a good problem-solution fit? And how do you reach the problem-solution fit quickly in the early stages of your startup? So let's dive in. So what defines a good problem-solution fit? The traditional definition is it's a solution that fixes a very specific and painful problem for the users faster, cheaper, and more efficiently than the alternatives that your target users would have right now. And I would add one thing to that: at the right moment to your user as well. And we can actually break this down into a few key qualities of any solution that you would like to provide for the problem that you're after. So the first aspect of a good problem solution fit is to have it embedded in a profitable business. Because at the end of the day, you can provide a solution, but when it comes to the unit economics, it costs more than what the customers are willing to pay you. And at the end of the day, it's not going to be sustainable and you're going to fail. Let's take one of those examples that we talked about. So Uber, for example, they take a cut of the ride by providing only the data infrastructure and the systems that would connect the users through mobile apps and also the taxi or the car drivers. So it's very efficient and they can generate good amount of money out of it. Airbnb, for example, they take a cut from the transaction that they provide. SpaceX, they knew from the beginning that most of the cost is in the rocket itself, which in the traditional world, they get thrown away after the first launch. But they made it reusable and they saved a lot. The second aspect of a good problem solution fit is to solve one major customer pain very well compared to the alternatives. If we think of Uber, one of the painful points that most of the commuters would have with the taxis is not able to get the taxi on time, probably not a good service, and it's not predictable in a lot of cases. So they focused on that specific pain point and they solved it in their mobile app. You can know when it's going to come, you know how much is it going to cost you, and also you know when exactly you're going to arrive at your destination. Now, the fourth aspect of a great problem solution fit that it builds on the customer's mental model. It actually honors what the customer defines as a success and as a great user experience at the end. Again, if we use Uber as an example, what defines success for anyone is to have a ride on time, safe, enjoyable, and predictable. So they took all those aspects and they started to work backward from that point and make sure that they provide that consistently in every single ride to all of their users. Now, the final aspect of a great problem solution fit is to outperform your competition substantially and consistently. If we take the example of SpaceX's main advantage is that it saved the cost of a single launch. And the second one, they made it so frequently that they can do it almost every few days. And that's the core of their business. They outperform the competition from Russia and other countries who are now launching rockets into space. And no one can actually match what they do. All right, you may say now, Mo, I get it. I understand the problem solution fit, but how do I find it? Now, before I get into the simple process that I'm gonna share with you here, there are two important things that you must have in your mind. Number one, you cannot find an efficient solution to your users' problems without having a methodical way in finding it. You have to have a repeatable process so that you keep improving and you iterate through it very, very quickly. You're gonna have dozens of experiments until you reach something that is good for your customers and also can generate a good business. And second is the mindset. A lot of entrepreneurs get attached to the first solution that they get into, or maybe the second or the third, and they forget that they must have an experimental mindset. Everything that you try with your customer is just an experiment until you reach again a repeatable business, which is the PMF or the product market fit. So mindset matters a lot here. Anything you build has a high chance to be thrown away and trying something new. So I repeat, methodical so that you can move fast and improve in the process, and having the experimental mindset so that you can move fast and do not get attached very quickly to a specific solution. So let's dig into the process. So the process is not magical. It's relatively simple. And as I said, you have to just master being in the process, measure it, and repeat it. So the first one, try to understand the pains and the motivations that the customers are looking for. And I already talked about this in a different video. But the main idea is to write down the pains that the customers are facing before, during, and maybe after solving that problem. And what is their motivation to solve that problem anyways. Now, the second one is to create what's so-called the value map. And this is your own perspective about what kind of solutions that you can provide and get mapped to those pains and those motivations. Now, the third one is now to come with possible designs for your solution. And I'm saying here a design, not an implementation, because at that particular stage, it's an art to make something and build something that is close enough to your product. And it depends on your vertical or the nature of your solution that you're offering. It could be a mix of prototypes and MVPs. It could be mainly an MVP. It could be just a design if it's too expensive to build your product or the first version of your product. And the last step is testing. And it's important here to know what are you testing against. Of course, you're going to be testing against the aspects that I mentioned at the beginning of this video. But also, there are three main areas that you want to make sure that your testing process is covering. Number one, does it really address the pains of the customer? Do I have a solution that's probably testing a very critical problem for the customer or not? And second, does it do it effectively? Does it solve it in an effective way for the customer? Because you may have a really good solution, but it's not efficient, it's not effective, it's not really the cheapest from the customer's point of view. You may want to compete with Uber, and maybe you're going to provide a marginally better application for your customers. Yeah, you're a bit more efficient, but you're not good enough compared to what Uber is providing at the moment. And finally, do you think that you have enough number of customers or going to have enough number of customers or big enough market so that you reach the PMF with that market? Because you may solve the problem effectively for a set of customers, but at the end of the day, there aren't that many of them. You cannot really build a $1 billion company on top of that. All right, before I let you go, let me give you a couple of points that might help you in your journey finding a problem solution fit. Number one, and I said that at the beginning of the video, it's all about the mindset. Make sure that you are having an experimental mindset. And second, be methodical, because you need to repeat. And sometimes you may go to a previous experiment that you did before, and maybe you need to tweak it and make a change. If you have it documented and you are doing it in a methodical way, that would help you a lot. And the number one predictor of a startup, whether it can find the product market fit before it crashes and runs out of money, is the startups and the founders' ability to iterate frequently and very fast through many solutions to the problem that they're solving. So if you're an entrepreneur early in your journey and you did not find the product market fit and still in your journey finding it, I would love to hear from you in the comments below and happy to help and chat about it. Good luck in your journey.